tired of living. I just don't want to be here no more. Y'all think I'm playing? I look like I'm playing, nigga. I ain't playing. I will murk myself, nigga. I will kill myself because I'm tired.
There's a lot of crap content on YouTube, varying from extremely unfunny one-time videos.
I hate fucking PewDiePie. PewDiePie is useless bitch and I hate PewDiePie.
To entire channels dedicated to pumping out pure garbage. But on some very rare occasions, there's crap going on behind the scenes on YouTube. Not videos or content creators that are uploading poor content, but actually the networks managing them. And I think, honestly, this is one of the very few videos where I'm going to be talking about YouTube networks and not bringing up machinima. The topic I'm going to be talking about today is blatant corruption on YouTube. Content creators making videos, uploading them, but not being given the money they were owed by their network. So essentially, this business practice would most affect YouTubers that have made it their full-time career, which is honestly quite a lot of people. An example I'll be using today is the YouTuber Heroic, or Herobrine Skull as most of you know him. Most notably known for making Minecraft Pocket Edition video. Why am I defending this kid? Why the fuck am I defending this kid? Okay guys, I'm done at this point. He's literally playing sad violin through his shitty 1980 Bose speaker into his microphone. But, you know what? I digress, because this video, this is for the greater good. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give Will a little platform to defend himself and speak his mind about how his network has fucked him over.
So today I want to talk about something which has recently happened. A lot of you probably already sort of know this because Scarce actually reported on this thing, and it's about
hey, what's up, guys?
The network that I'm with have just completely and utterly fucked me over. I'm partnered with a network called Content Pixel. What happened to me was, this was last month, okay? My dashboard showed a certain amount of money. I'll leave a screenshot right here. That was the amount that it said I was going to get. And what it says on this dashboard is what I'm getting, right? So if it says $20, I'm going to get $20, right? And it also says a countdown, how many days are left till I get the payment. It's a pretty good dashboard system. Now, of course, this is what it said, right? So, you know, obviously I was expecting this amount, but I didn't get that. Instead, I got this amount. So I was like, alright, well, this is a bit weird.
So essentially what's happened is, he was owed a specific amount of money by his network, but he was only paid about a quarter of it. Now, to any of you that are thinking about doing YouTube full-time or already are, just sit back for a moment and think what would happen and how much it would impact you if your network turned around to you and only paid you a third or a quarter of what you are actually owed. How much would that impact you? You've got bills to pay, electricity to keep on, all this stuff you've got to take into consideration. Your network failing to pay you would really impact you. And after this whole fiasco went down, you'd think Content Pixel would rush to help him out, you know, to pay him what he was owed. But no, they ignore him. He actually tries to contact them and they still ignore him. So he has to resort to taking to Twitter and publicly tweeting at them to get their attention.
Can we talk about this? Of course, you know, my network didn't reply. No response whatsoever. I sent emails, you know, I sent messages, Skype messages. And in the end, you know, since they weren't replying to me, I had to make a bit of a public scene. I had to go on Twitter and publicly tweet them saying, hey, I'm trying to get into contact with you. You've paid me half of, you know, what I'm supposed to get. Blah, 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 blah. And of course, in the end, since I made a public scene and they don't want to get any negativity towards their network, they of course had to reply to me. And they said that they're working on it. It's just a little glitch. You know, that dashboard wasn't supposed to show that. You know, so I mean, I'm sorry about that. We'll get back to you when it's all fixed.
So not only did Heroic have to contact them publicly and make a scene, simply so they would respond to save face. Not only the fact that they responded with possibly the most vaguest, unhelpful response they could give, on top of all of this, they did the exact same thing next month.
Well, next month, i.e. this month, it happened again. My dashboard says one amount, and what I get is less than half of it. So immediately I'm like, alright, fuck this. We've got to talk to them, alright? Now, once again, I hit them up in Skype, I email them, I message them, Nothing. Right, absolutely nothing. I didn't get a single reply. I still haven't to this day, and this happened a week ago. So, I mean, there you go.
So Content Pixel have failed to pay him the full amount for a second month in a row, but on top of that as well, they're ignoring him and not responding to his messages. He's messaged multiple employees. If he messaged one or two and left it, then fair enough, but he's messaged a lot of employees at Content Pixel, and all of them have chose to or purposely ignored him. The fact that they're doing this is absolutely disgusting. When you join a network, they take a cut from your revenue for protection, for brand deals, for support, a variety of things. The fact that they are taking a cut of his money, not paying him the full amount, and on top of all of that, not giving him the support that he paid for, is just disgusting.
I even actually tweeted about the whole thing, saying that my network is just a fucking scam, and, they haven't hit me up. I mean, they usually do when I make a public scene, but they haven't. The only person who sort of reacted to that, which has made sort of an effect, is Scarce. He actually reported on the whole thing, as I said.
I'm in a shit mood about my network robbing a lot of my money for my earnings. It doesn't fuck things up for me personally, more for my family. So apparently his network's actually fucking him over. I talked about this in DMs. I feel really bad for this guy. I don't want to name drop his network because I don't know if that's going to do anything bad for him. But it just fucking sucks to see that his network is fucking him over like this, especially because he's giving most of his money to his family.
So essentially what his network are doing, ignoring the situation entirely. This is an infamous tactic used in online media. If you're involved in any sort of allegations, drama, just ignore it. Act like nothing's happening and go on your merry way, acting like there's no problem whatsoever, and the situation will usually dissolve. A lot of networks have done this all the time. Like, for example, I had a previous experience with Machinima. I was partnered with them, and they would just ignore you. They'd ignore you, never give you any kind of attention, because that's the way they work. If you were ignored, the situation would eventually dissipate.
It's so blatant. It's not just happening to me, it's happening to other YouTubers. For example, Rage Elixir, he's a Minecraft YouTuber, he's got 300,000 subscribers. He also noticed that what the earnings that were said on his, his network dashboard is not what he was getting. He was getting, I think, $400 off, which is, huge.
Now, the optimistic few of you are probably thinking, maybe he was paid the full amount, maybe Content Pixel are being honest and the dashboard is glitched. Well, Heroic also researched into that, and his answer is really damning. Now, the optimistic few of you are probably thinking that the dashboard was actually glitched, and what he was paid was the correct amount. But Heroic actually went to his YouTube analytics and did some comparisons and found out the money that he was owed but not fully paid is the actual amount. So Content Pixel's dashboard wasn't actually glitched, they just weren't paying him the full amount.
The official youtube.com dashboard, your analytics, and you can see what earnings you're getting. You've got to do your calculations, like, for example, if you're on a 90-10 revenue share, you've got to calculate 90% of those showed. And the earnings which are said on the YouTube analytics is the exact same as what's said on the network earnings. So the actual amount on the network isn't glitched. If it says, for example, $4,000, I am to be getting $4,000. And currently it's nowhere, right? The money has just either gone to void, just gone nowhere, or more likely the person running my network is just taking a bit of a grab off of my earnings, and like I said, a lot of the other partners' earnings.
Now, unfortunately, there is no proof of the rest of Heroic's earnings being kept by Content Pixel, being sent to their employees as unwarranted earnings. But off the record, just think about this for a second, right? If this YouTuber is not being paid 3/4 of all of his earnings, where is that going? Do you really think that it's voided and no one is using that money? Really? Just think about that for a second.
But, I mean, a lot of the time, I do want to give a helping hand to the family, so I do usually, every month give my monthly earnings directly to my parents. So, in a nutshell, it doesn't fuck things up for me as much, it sort of more fucks things up for the family as a whole.
The worst thing about this is, Heroic doesn't keep the money for himself, he gives it to his parents, so any income he generates can be put to really good use and help support the family. Content Pixel are essentially straining his family and their income by failing to pay him what he's actually owed. So in this case, a YouTuber isn't being affected, it's his entire family. On top of that as well, Heroic talks about his bad experience with the network and their partnership scheme, being stuck in contracts that never existed in the first place.
When a contract states that it ends at this date, you have to, sort of give 60 days notice or 30 days, it depends. They offer a higher revenue share, right? If they say, well, you know, maybe we'll give you a higher revenue share and you'll consider staying. Nah, I'm not buying that. I'm just gonna leave the network. And what do? They don't reply. They don't respond, right? And they'll respond a month later when the contract's renewed, and they'll be like, oh, sorry, your contract's renewed. You can't leave until another year now. So yeah, they're a bunch of shady fucks.
So in Heroic's case, Content Pixel have not only failed to pay him on multiple occasions, they now refuse to let him leave, neglecting him so the contract automatically renews itself. And on top of this as well, an amazing contradiction. On Content Pixel's website, they state that there is no lock-in contract whatsoever.
Alright, what's even more, like, sort of hilarious is the fact that their website says there's a no lock-in contract, meaning you can leave basically whenever you want. So why are we all held in to a time frame as to when we can leave? Why is it like, oh, sorry, you have another year's contract? That's the complete opposite of a no lock-in contract.
On top of all of this as well, most networks require you to be 16 or 18 to sign a contract. Heroic is 15, so his contract is essentially illegal and should be removed instantly. He should be let go of his network, but they still refrain from letting him go, which is essentially breaking YouTube's terms of service.
I didn't get my parents to sign the contract. I mean, let's be honest, who fucking does? Fact is, I didn't get my parents to sign the contract. So basically meaning that I basically have an illegal contract. Alright? But even then, they're not willing to terminate my contract. They're still adamant about me being in the network. So, yeah, there's the fault. There's quite a big fault.
Now, for just a brief moment, I'd like you to ignore all the problems that Content Pixel has given to Heroic and various other partners. Just ignore all of them for a second, right? Because I have possibly the most irrefutable, damning evidence that their company is probably illegal to exist in the first place. They have classified themselves as a sub-network. Now, as most of you know, a couple months ago, sub-networks were actually made illegal on YouTube. They're illegal. If you're a sub-network, you will be shut down.
YouTube published a new YouTube subnetwork policy, look behind me, that a subnetwork exists when an MCN provides direct or indirect access of its roll-up tool to unaffiliated third parties who act on behalf of a separate brand or company in exchange for compensation or consideration. Subnetworks are not permitted.
Not permitted.
And we will grow together as a family.
When I go for my contacts, I contact Content Pixel Twitter. I contact the CEO of Content Pixel on Skype. So Content Pixel, the subnetwork, is still a thing.
Heroic even brought this up to the CEO of Content Pixel. He simply responds by saying, YouTube is well aware of this. We speak with them all the time. Smiley face. There's no context there. You didn't give any kind of clarification. Just a fucking smiley face. Now, after all this, after Heroic made this video, uploaded it, after numerous other YouTubers that were with Content Pixel made separate videos and uploaded them, Content Pixel as a whole went into full damage control mode, releasing a statement acknowledging the glitched dashboard, but saying it was out of their hands. I understand that sometimes things go wrong, but the fact that you're absolving yourself of the situation when it's clearly your property, that's just retarded.
And then one of the stupidest things about this is Content Pixel and Pangalo said that it's not their fault that this happened. Now, that all being said, Content Pixel insists that it's not their fault, but how isn't it their fault? It's their dashboard, yet they insist that it was out of their hands, according to their response to Will's statements. So think about it this way, right? If I go to buy a brand new car, and then 2 months later this car starts breaking down, so I bring it back into the dealership where I got it from for them to check it out, and then they tell me that there was a mistake when the car was developed, but it was out of their hands? How was it out of their hands when they're the ones that developed the car? They're responsible for it running correctly. That being said, in this case, Will's dashboard glitched, and Pangalo said, oh, it's not our fault. It's their job to make sure that the dashboard is running correctly, okay? So it's clearly their fault when their dashboard's the thing that's messing up.
On top of that as well, Heroic was privately messaged by the CEO of Content Pixel, threatening him to take down the video or Content Pixel will be forced to do it themselves. Now, funnily enough, if people weren't aware, striking your own partners is stupid and also illegal. I've actually been told by another network, Omnia, that they cannot take down videos of their own partners or affiliates. It's just never heard of.
Hi, my name's Danny and I work for the Omnia Media YouTube network. Recently there were some claims by Herodic's current YouTube network in which they implied they would remove features from his account if he did not remove the video that they asked. This is implying that they will indeed strike him, and currently any channel under a network CMS cannot be striked by their own network. It's just not possible. It's basically like trying to key your own car. Why would you damage yourself just to get back at another partner? YouTube does not allow this.
So in conclusion, there's definitely a lot going down at Content Pixel. YouTubers aren't being paid, and there's a lot of lies, deception, and empty threats. Honestly, at this point, the only people that I personally think can resolve this situation is YouTube themselves. They need to launch an investigation on this network and see if any of their stories add up. Because at the moment, Content Pixel's reputation doesn't look too good. Hopefully after I've made this video, Herotic's situation and many others will become public and widespread. This is a topic that needs to be addressed, made public, and talked about. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.
But here's the logo for my current network, Content Pixel. Right, here's the logo. It's a nice logo, right? Now let's see this logo, Colgate Primo Look at this logo. Yeah. I don't know what to say, to be honest, to that. I mean, I'm sure there's a big copyright problem there. I'm not gonna get into that because it's not my logo, but yeah. Oh, you're fucking retards.
Thank you. Feeling a lot of emotions right now. I'm Sean. I'm from Hello Games. We're a tiny little indie studio.
I ain't playing. I will murk myself, nigga. I will kill myself.